Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. November 27th, 2019, the Are You Cool edition. First up, the founder and ousted CEO of Papa John's, John Shatner, has claimed that he recently had 40 pizzas or ate 40 pizzas in 1 month, and says that the quality of the pizzas are dropping and that a day of reckoning will come for Papa John's without his guiding hand on the tiller. So as listeners may recall, Shatner used a racial slur during a conference call between Papa John's executives and a marketing agency. The group was doing role-playing meant to prepare for public relations challenges, and Shatner was asked how he would separate himself from racist groups online, and he kind of flubbed that question. But now he claims that only he can bring the franchise back. Gee, I wonder who that sounds like. I don't think he's coming back. Second, from the New York Times, and our title story today is, do you want to sound cool? Well, there is a new term to sound smart and edgy in the tech world. It's called a narrative violation. It's when you identify a broad idea that people seem to agree on, then you cherry pick a single piece of data which refutes it. Of course, if you tweet it, it's even more powerful. Venture capitalists have embraced narrative violations, and the term is popping up frequently in work conversations. It's a part of the VC bingo buzzword. The tweeting masses have picked it up, and it's like a contrarian, but actually more complex. And as my former teenage daughter would say, it's very cool. So if you want to be cool, try the narrative violation and see where that gets you. Next up, from the Gulfnews website, a Saudi Arabian businessman was arrested for offering a 75 million rial bribe inside of Saudi Arabia to a civil servant. It's part of the kingdom's overall crackdown on bribery and corruption. And the internal domestic laws of Saudi Arabia prevent this. So it's going to be bad for the person caught doing this. And finally, in a very big story, the U.S. Justice Department, reported by Dylan Tokar over at the Wall Street Journal Risk and Compliance Journal, the ongoing lawsuit against the company formerly known as Och-Ziff Capital Management, the restitution case for its corruption in illegally paying bribes to garner mineral rights in Africa, which they stole from another company called Africo. Africo brought suit under the Restitution Act against Och-Ziff. Och-Ziff has vociferously protested and denied that they are eligible for a claim. And until this filing this past week, the Department of Justice was on Och-Ziff's side. But however, now the DOJ has switched sides, and they've come out in favor of Africo's actions in the lawsuit. And they have said that Africo is entitled to restitution. And prosecutors said in a filing last Friday that they believe the company was owed $150 million. This is almost as much as Och-Ziff paid to the Department of Justice for the original settlement. So it would certainly throw a big wrench into Och-Ziff, who has renamed the company Sculptor Capital Management. You have to wonder where the original counsel for Och-Ziff was and why they weren't counseling against this, or at least telling Och-Ziff they needed to reserve it. Perhaps they did, and there's been a big reserve all along, but that's not been publicly announced. So the Och-Ziff case continues to resonate. If Africo is successful, it may well open the floodgates to additional restitution claims in other FCPA cases. The Daily Compliance News will be off November 28th for Thanksgiving, so I hope you have a safe, joyous, and very happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for listening.